Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. We are trying something new with these Zooms. I thought it would be a good way for breeders to introduce themselves. If you can hear me, please comment in the chat bar. If you have any questions, you can also comment in the chat bar. I have chosen to kind of talk through our website because I thought it was a good way to have pictures and for me to kind of stay on track here with what I would like to share with you regarding our farm. So, to get going here, we are going to minimize this and we're going to start with our website. PlatinumSkyFarm.com is our website. We raise Nigerian dwarf goats. We also raise chickens. Um, we're getting more into the exhibition and heritage breed show stock. We do also raise broilers and we sell them at our farmers markets. So that's something fun that I do with the kids. Our farm is ran by myself, Amy Hackbarth, and my three children, Weston, Anna, and Caitlin. And then my husband supports us by working in the day job so we can run our farm and our smaller businesses. So as we go down the website here, you can see Weston also makes milk stands. So he's really good with woodworking. And that is something else our farm offers. This is my daughter, Caitlin, and my daughter, Anna, with their birds this summer. Got a bunch of goat showing pictures here. We've been raising Nigerian dwarfs since, well, it's been 7 years now. So we got our first two does from some local breeders, and one turned out to be a wonderful mentor for me. And hopefully we'll get her on one of these. But in the meantime, we'll talk about where our farm is going. So we are expanding our poultry and chicken operation. The farmers market folks have been begging us to do eggs, so we're hoping we can deliver on that this year. The goats, unfortunately, we are in Wisconsin, so we cannot sell milk or milk products. We're not a licensed dairy, but we do use our milk to make goat milk soap, and we sell other goat milk products, which we'll talk about in a little bit, at the farmers market as well. So that's an income source for us. Last year we tried goat yoga for the first time, and that was really fun. We had a great time doing goat yoga events. We're definitely going to be doing more of that this year. Our farm also does local shows. We've been to one national when it was in Madison. We show at our county fair, and we also show at the Wisconsin State Fair. So a little bit about who we are. Herd management, in Wisconsin, we have access to really nice quality grass alfalfa mix hay. We also use a bagged feed from our feed mill for our milkers and our dry goats. We bottle feed everything at our farm. We do CAE prevention. We keep a clean herd. We disease test every single year for CAE and for Yonis. We do not test for CL just because we don't feel like it's a very accurate test, and we've never had a CL abscess on our farm. So it's not something we test for here. So a little bit about our feeding schedule, about what products we use and supplements. We are in a selenium deficient area in Wisconsin. I find that we tend to use quite a bit of Bosie. So we do Bosie injections usually twice a year around breeding season and around kidding season. We get that from our vet. Replimon gel is another thing I'm a big fan of. We do use loose minerals here, but I really like the Replimon gel. I just feel like it gives them really pretty coats. We've had really good luck with the goat's health in general using that. So I use Replimon about once a week. I don't need to do a lot of deworming. We have checked fecals pretty regularly over the years, and thankfully our herd is pretty resistant. So that's pretty cool. Hoof trimming, all the basics. We do pretty much standard to what most herds do. Here's some links if you're interested in learning some other information. I like to send our new buyers over to this page of our website. And then here is all of our disease test results since we started with goats. On to the next page. We keep about 8 or 9 does in our herd. We keep a fairly small herd. We have a fairly small property. We only have about 5 acres. Plenty for us. We are on milk test. We're an EDGA Plus herd. So we're milking usually around 8 or 9 months of the year. I do not have a heated barn. I don't like to milk over the holidays and the winter. So I usually dry the goats off for like November, December, January-ish. Kind of depends on the weather and that type of thing when we start kidding. But we are on DHIA. We're going to be on standard test this year. We've done owner sampler in the past. We also use our DNA tests. I am a big fan of DNA. I think the bucks should be DNA'd. We DNA all of our bucks and as many does as we can each year. Usually we use the 3 that we get with our ADGA Plus just as like a spot check. So, talking a little bit through our does here, our goals for our herd, we want a nice, well-rounded doe. I want a doe that shows well because we do show quite a bit. I want a doe that's going to be structurally sound. The linear appraisal program has been invaluable for that. We have gained so much knowledge by participating in that program, and it is something I feel very, very strongly about is a huge asset to us as breeders. So I encourage anyone who can just even come watch a session, come to linear appraiser. We've learned a lot about our does, and as they mature, it's cool to watch their scores change and as they develop. Um, Birdie is our only 90 in our herd, and she is currently our only e-mammary. Um, we love Birdie. She's Caitlin's showmanship goat. She's one goat that will never leave this farm. Um, what we're trying to get out of Birdie is more of that mammary system. She has a beautiful mammary system. It's very well attached. It has a nice shape. We love her teat placement. We love the balance from front to rear. She has probably our best front end in our herd too, which is another area that we need to work on. Some of her weaknesses, her rump definitely is a weakness, and her milk production. She's probably our weakest producer in the herd. So when looking at breeding pairs, we are looking for that rump and we are looking for that production. Another thing that it's not the end of the world for me, but it is for a lot of breeders. She does have fairly small orifices, so if she did milk more, that would really be a pain, but we use a milk machine. I can live with it. I know a lot of people that's a deal breaker, but for me, there's so many other good things going on with Birdie that that is something I'm willing to try to breed up. So here's some of her stats, her pedigree. Um, our next oldest doe in the herd is Platinum Sky Tornado Alley. Allie's one of my favorites. She's a bigger doe. Her dam was probably one of my favorite does of all time. Um, I just really liked her dam because she was a very, very solid doe all the way around. She was a good milker. I loved her body style. Unfortunately, she was pushing the height limit and it was getting a little frustrating when we go to shows because sometimes she'd be in, sometimes she'd be out. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to keep breeding back to a doe that was possibly over height. So she got sent on her way and we kept Allie. So Allie's cool because I love all of her kids. Every single kid she's had is beautiful. She outproduces herself constantly. Her values definitely as a brood doe. She's shown well in her own right. She's a solid milker. But for Allie, like I said, her kids are just one's better than the next. So that's why she is here. Mocha is a newer addition to our herd. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Springwater, Nancy Bowling's herd. We were so excited to have the chance to bring her in because of her production, her teat size, just her overall genetics and being so well rounded, coming from a herd that has a total performer, which is Mocha's dam. That's exactly what we're trying to breed for. So I feel like the things that were Mocha's weaknesses, we couldn't correct with other animals and genetics in our herd. So I'm looking to get a little better rear udder height out of her, a little better rear attachments. Um, Her rump and her front end aren't terrible, but I would definitely like to try to get some improvement in those areas as well. Overall, I think she's a nice doe. She doesn't show as well as some of our other does, but that's not really why we brought her in. We brought her in for that milk production and that teat size and those orifices. So we are very excited that we got a daughter out of her this year. There's a couple herds working with her buck kids from this year, and I'm kind of penciling her in as a possible candidate to keep a buck kid out of this year if we get one. We'll see. She's due to kid late. So I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but um, definitely lots of milk in this pedigree, lots of solid conformation. Um, kind of hard to go wrong with the opportunity to bring her in. Twister is a second generation homebred doe. She's out of Alley. I definitely got some improvements out of her I was hoping for by breeding her to um, her sire or breeding Alley to Who's Your Daddy. So Twister has a way better rump than Alley for one, better attachments, a little better production, I think. Front end definitely needs some work over here, and we're hoping to get that out of the son. Actually, she's bred to this year out of a Sinai Thunder buck that has a really nice front end. So that is where we're going with that breeding. Very well-rounded doe, definitely the direction I want to see my herd going. But no doe's perfect. So what we're working on with her is that front end mainly, and I'd like to see a little better forerunner. Holly. So Holly's an interesting doe. She obviously comes from a long line of milkers. Um, wasn't the greatest producer this year as a 2-year-old first freshener. Structurally, there's quite a bit I'd like to change. She's my younger daughter's showmanship goat, so she kind of has earned her spot in the herd for that purpose. There's a lot of cool genetics going on with her, but I just don't feel like they all lined up in Holly. So I did like her doe kid this year out of what did I breed her to? I think a redstone buck. And I'm thinking we can work with her. She has really nice sized teats, really nice orifices, which I definitely need more of in my herd. Um, and she has some really phenomenal genetics. I just am hoping that they all line up in this next breeding. We're breeding her to her half brother. So we're doubling up on the Sinai Thunder genetics, big milk genetics, good front end, nice long body, nice rump. So there could be something really cool coming out of that. Down here we have Platinum Sky Dream On. So it took us a while to get a doe kid out of Birdie, our e-memory at the top of the page here, and she gave us triplets last year, or 2019. So we had triplet does to pick from, and honestly, I was not leaning towards this kid, but I left it up to my daughter because this is a bred known project for my daughter, and she proved me wrong. I would say out of the 3 kids, we have been able to watch the other 2 mature in other herds. And for our style and our goals, I do feel like Dreamy is the best match for our herd. I'd like to see a little bit shorter bone right through here. I'd like to see a little bit higher tie-in right here. But she's due to freshen in like 2 weeks and her mammary system's looking really beautiful. So I'm thinking this might be a winner. Thankfully, like I said, we had 3 does out of Birdie. Birdie is bred again this year, due to kid, I think, in March. So we'll see what we get out of her and her daughter here, but so far so good. We did go to one show this year, and Dreamy did get her dry leg. She looked really good that day, and I feel like she's a nice solid doe. So I'm excited for Caitlin, hopefully for show season this year, she can get her back out as a 2-year-old first freshener. Down here we have Twister's, one of Twister's daughters. She had 2 daughters and a son this year, and we kept her buck kid as our main breeding buck this year. So the litter mate to this girl right here. This girl is bred due to kid, I think April 1st. I think she's gorgeous. I love her. She's going to be a yearling first freshener. Nice length, nice width. I think a little better front end than her mom. But she definitely has that nicely attached mammary system. We can already see it coming. So this is one I definitely want to keep my eye on. And her brother, I'm hoping, will get the job done too. And then down here, we have Mocha's only doe kid she had this year. She is also bred, and she is due to kid uh, pumpkins. I think one of her first ones. She's due in February. So she is going to be a really young first freshener. I didn't really think she'd take that quick, but she did. She looks just like her mom. She's doing just fine. Her udder's looking really cool. I'm pretty excited about it. Nice teat placement. So that's something, another area we're hoping for.
Oh, no. And she keeps.
Any questions? All right, we're going to move on to our boys. So I'm going to give my little spiel, and I know people are not going to like me, but I am the opposite of a buck hoarder. I don't believe in buck hoarding. I like line breeding. I like keeping my genetics tight. I feel like people who use a lot of bucks, their genetics kind of tend to go willy-nilly. You don't have as much consistency. This year is the tightest I've ever gotten my genetics, and we're going to be using Woody on everybody except his littermate sister. So I like Woody, and I chose Woody because when I'm trying to pick a buck for my herd, I'm looking at what will help the majority of my herd. He's not going to fix everything on everybody. He's a young buck. Obviously, I don't really know what he's going to do, but his dam line is so consistent that I felt really good about using him, and I liked what he himself looked like. It's another thing. I know a lot of people don't care what their bucks look like. I totally disagree with that as well. I want my buck to look how I want my buck to look. I'm not going to cross my fingers that he's going to throw genetics that look totally different than what he looks like. So that's my own personal thoughts. I'm going to keep a buck that has the look that I want, just like I'm going to keep does that look like how I want. And so far, that's worked for me. So I'm not going to hope that they're going to throw something that isn't themselves. I want to replicate each of these animals and keep getting closer and closer to my ideal animal. And I feel like the fastest way to do that is by using animals that are the closest to my ideal. And if I have a buck that I feel is pretty much the closest to my ideal, I'm going to use them on everybody. So that is why Woody is my guy this year. So I'm very happy with how he's maturing. He's got tons of good milk genetics. As you can see, his dam has 2 milking legs. So she's, hopefully finish this year, I hope. Or maybe 1 dry leg, 1 milking leg. Yeah, 1 dry leg, 1 milking leg. Allie's got a milking leg. So they all have the show genetics. We're working with some pretty solid mammary systems. And as far as production goes, he's coming out of lines that if I milk them a solid 305, I truly believe we would be right up in that 1,000-pound range if I was persistent with it. But since I don't milk 305, I usually milk closer to, I don't know, 240, 260. We're probably not going to see those 1,000-pound numbers out of my animals unless I decide to get really gung-ho and heat my barn or something. So he's my main guy this year. So my kidding matchups, pretty much talk through the strengths and the weaknesses of my does. So the main things I'm kind of looking for in each pairing. I don't think Allie settled, unfortunately. She's not a fan of these younger bucks. I tried to breed her to one last year. I think I need to put her in with a more mature buck. So I'm going to talk to another herd and see if we can work something out for that. Twister, this wasn't exactly my first choice. And it's not that I don't think it would make a good animal, but I've actually never done a dam to son breeding before. I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, I have no problem line breeding. I just had a different buck in mind for her. But really, if he puts this nice front end on her, I don't really know how we could go wrong with that one. So kind of excited to see what that'll be. He was still here and she came back into heat, so I just threw him in there. I'm really pumped about this one. If I can get her teats and her orifices in production paired with Woody, this is, like I said, this might be my keeper buck next year. These guys. Okay, so this is fun. So I had the opportunity to use this little buck that's owned by Enchanted Forest, and he is out of another Cyanide Thunder buck, and his dam and her dam are half sisters. So loosely-ish line bred, but this could be really cool too. Very excited to see where that goes. Down here we have Holly and Woody. Said I think Holly can do Woody can do a lot of things to make Holly improved in a lot of areas. I'm not really concerned about this teat placement, honestly, because as a second freshener, I have a feeling they're going to plumb out. I'm more concerned about the balance from front to rear. I don't know if we're going to gain a lot of ground on that on Holly, but I'm hoping that our production pops up a little bit this year and she has a little more capacity for Anna. Showing wise, she does have her dry leg. She showed well as a baby. I don't know. Holly's one that's, like I said, I think what happened over the years is we mixed in a lot of different genetics and we lost some consistency there. And I'm hoping we can bring that back with this Woody kid. So we'll see what comes out. Birdie. Birdie's going to be 7 this year, I think. And so now we're really looking at keeper doe kids out of her. Said we're really trying to get this mammary system across the herd, only with bigger orifices and better production. So that's what I'm looking for out of there. And hopefully we'll see a little improvement in that rump. Pumpkin. this should just be a production breeding all day long. That's what I'm hoping for anyways. I don't know how that's half siblings, line bred on Sinai Thunder genetics. Her dam is spring water, his dam is our genetics. So should be big milk, solid conformation. Down here, we don't really know what to expect with Dreamy. I'm really hoping that Redstone genetics brought in some more milk. Her udder's looking cool. It's looking not exactly like her dams, but I don't know, really pretty. She's a little more open in the back end than her dam, so that could actually, her udder could even be better than Birdie's. So that is the kidding schedule for this year. So in our herd, we do use a lot of the milk for our skincare line. So we make goat milk soaps, lotions, facial care products. We make goat milk face masks with all sorts of goodies. So this has been a fun project for me, especially in the wintertime when I'm not milking and showing. Our company is Vibe Bath and Body. So we do a lot with goat milk. That is kind of the primary focus, but then we mix in some other fun stuff too. So that's one of the ways that we make money off our herd is with our goat milk skincare products. And then we started the page for the Australorps. We're hoping to have pages up for the milk stands and for our other chickens and things soon. We've been trying to get the website all shined up for the new year because we're going to start kidding pretty soon. So that is pretty much what we're about. I know we talked a little bit about our goals and what we're trying to achieve with our herd and what's important to us. We do a lot with 4-H. I'm a goat leader in 4-H. I love that. It's a lot of fun. COVID's kind of put the squashed a lot of our events, which has been not that fun the past year. But normally I do a lot with our 4-H club. We like to share our goats with the kids that can't have their own goats. We look forward to showing this year. We look forward to hopefully linear appraisal and possibly hitting up the national show. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email us at platinumskyfarm@gmail.com. We have a YouTube channel. We have an Instagram account. We're on Facebook every day. So if you have any questions about the animals or want to put reservations in, feel free to email or message us on Facebook. And hopefully we're going to get a couple other breeders to do some similar things like this. And we will be sharing them on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you learned something about our herd. If you have any questions, I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.